Hi, ladies. This is a slightly different video training that we normally usually do inside of our program, the MYM Club. So it's not really like menopausal health, menopausal symptom focus. It's actually more focused on some of the work that we do around coaching and how to stay consistent and develop a healthy lifestyle. So this is something that's actually happening in my life right now, mine and Viola's. And I thought it'd be a great learning opportunity for sort of us to talk about the coaching to coach to give this to the women's side of our group, and this is what we do on a one-to-one scale as life stress and staying consistent and understanding how to focus on yourself when life throws everything upside down um, helps, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in our life, and a lot of time when there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of an all on nothing mindset. I hear the things all the time from you ladies. Hey, you got to remember, you you can get the most perfect nutrition plan in the entire world to help you reduce the menopausal visceral fat and even the menopausal symptoms, but it doesn't work unless you do it consistently. And the big thing that sort of makes consistency harder for people is when we get busy, life presents stress. When something happens, it makes it harder to do everything on that to-do list, right? So as life has presented for me the past couple of weeks, I thought, it's a great opportunity for me to talk about active live coaching with you guys right now. So I want to talk about life stress. And this week inside my life, there's a lot of moving parts. You can see it. I'm packing up the house. I do not want to cook at all. I always get like this when I'm so stressed. We know the stress that sometimes comes with packing, the logistics. We're trying to organize everything. So you can see we're trying to find a place. In the UK, we were booking for the vets for their treatment before they go back to the UK because they need specific medication. Then once we've got a place, ensure we've got the office ready to go whenever we get there. So there's a lot of moving parts on that end. And obviously, because we run a business, whenever we take a week off, we actually have to work 2 weeks in 1 week, right? So all the stuff that I should be doing, let's say during a move, it might take 3-4 days, maybe 5 days a week. I take that week off. I would need to be doing loads of work in that week, and we could move next week. So I'm preparing as much as I can for it. So I'm doing it this week, right? And because we still need to do everything I need to do this week, as well as the week that I'm going to be off. So working really long hours, trying to get everything set up. Got some work projects that are coming to the end of their dates, right? Need to be finished. And, a lot of calls coming in, trying to wrap things up, finalize things, make sure things are working, and a couple of exciting things towards the end of the month. But round it off, we've got a few social stuff going on, right? We're working all day. We need to train, all of that stuff. So because of this, I know my cortisol is going to be very naturally high. And, I'm just kind of running at the moment, fight or flight. This happens in life, and this is happening to me this week. My cortisol is going to be naturally higher. I knew whenever I was sitting down on the weekend with V to plan this weekend, I always knew okay, our cortisol is going to be high. It's going to be naturally higher. So actually, let's talk things through what we need to get done. And this is what I want to talk to you through, right? So the things that when you know that your cortisol is higher, or when you know you're going through a very, very busy time, or something is going on, these are the things that we know impact your health. So when cortisol is higher, obviously your sleep is going to be impacted. This, whether that is like more broken sleep, happens with people at any age, myself included. It's exacerbated for you ladies in menopause because cortisol levels are even higher than they are than in myself, right? You get it naturally more elevated in menopause. You have a baseline elevation of cortisol. So when you're going through life, stress, cortisol naturally higher anyway. When you're going through life stress, even more. We know it's going to be a lot higher. So one of the very first things that we do inside, or the cortisol does inside of our body, is it actually inflames our intestines, right? So if you have IBS, that's something that you could be very hypersensitive towards, because any small changes to stress are going to inflame that IBS, and that's going to cause a knock-on impact to your gut. And when cortisol levels are higher, it drags energy down. It's harder for your body to sort of regulate that. So you have this sort of like more energy. You have a lot more of an energy crisis. When your cortisol levels are higher, obviously, if your sleep is going to be impacted, your energy is going to be naturally lower because stress is a nutrient. It just eats up all the nutrients, all the phytonutrients, all the minerals in your body. So you are drained, right? It needs to work overtime to digest food, and if you've done any of the training inside of our free support group, you know that when you have poor gut health anyway, whether that's naturally, whether that's down to your food, whether that's just hormonal shifts, menopausal shifts, it drags energy elsewhere from the body to help, right? To digestion, for example. And when we combine all that, we know that when high levels of cortisol stress are there, we know energy levels are going to be lower. And obviously, with higher levels of stress and cortisol, you get higher anxiety. You're wired and tired, sort of things, and it makes you a lot more anxious, and you just feel kind of fluttery. You feel like out of sorts, on edge at all sort of given time. So the big thing is that I'm going to be focused on specifically the nutrition this week. I know that these things can happen naturally. I just don't want these things to naturally happen, to me or to you ladies. So I know the power of nutrition. Nutrition is, this week I'm going to be doing a couple of tweaks to the nutrition to offset what I'm going through. Focusing on certain things, pulling certain things back, which I want to talk to you about in a second. And to ensure that I can get through this week as smoothly as possible, or just a challenging period, help my body regulate those high levels of cortisol, which imagine if you're going through this, it's even worse. Yes, we can do a lot of breath work. We can meditate. We can do everything like that, which is fantastic. And you should be doing that. But the most powerful and most effective thing that you can do, and the quickest thing you can do in a moment, is actually look at what you're putting inside of your body, right? When done right, we know there's so much power in nutrition to actually help us, right? This is what nutrition is actually meant to do. It's meant to help us. And a lot of people come to us for nutritional weight loss, right? That is something that we're obviously exceptionally good at. But nutrition really is, for a lot of us, we think about nutrition, we think of weight loss. And we just kind of tie all of our food to a number on the scale, or really only kind of thought process is like that we connect what we eat in our nutrition is a means to an end. A means to look a certain way. I eat like this because I want to look like this. And it shouldn't always be the case, right? Although that is normal for an outlook, because you've been conditioned as women, right? You've been conditioned in the magazines, in society, talk about food through weight loss lens, through a lens of weight loss. So when we talk about the word nutrients or vitamins, instantly you think supplements. Oh, supplement that will help us with something. No, we're just talking about nutrition. I'm just talking about nutrition. It's going to help with the menstrual cycle. If you're peri now, it will help. If you are obviously before that watching this, then it will help. If you're postmenopausal, it will still help keep a rhythm, because you'll still have some sort of cyclical ebbs and flows even in postmenopause. But a lot of women never been taught this. It's a shame, because how we can utilize nutrition to help you through menopause, even before menopause, through menstrual cycles, how we can help utilize nutrition to help hormonal fluctuations, how we can help inside the MYM club, the nutrition to help you feel more energized. Like, that's what I'm experiencing myself this week with quite a lot of our clients, that if you don't have it, under wraps, the energy, a stressful period will come in, it will drag your energy down. You'll feel like you're going completely off track. How do we utilize nutrition in those moments? Because that's what nutrition is actually meant for. It's meant to enhance your health, not long term. Like, I don't want to think about just long term health with nutrition. I want to think about present health. When your nutrition is correctly done in the present, should help your present health. How you feel day to day. Are you frequently going to the bathroom? Are you less bloated? Typically, when stress levels are high, we have less time. We're feeling more anxious, whatever it may be. There's things that we typically would do, and I've done these many, many times. Reach for comfort food, increase caffeine. No one's perfect. We reach for those comfort foods, because in that moment, we are trying to soothe, but it's only that temporary moment. We know a lot of the foods actually make all of these things that I've talked about worse. Caffeine, increasing caffeine is going to make, if your cortisol is already high, it's going to dump more norepinephrine into the system, basically more adrenaline into the system, stress you out more. I said, like, reaching for a glass of wine down here, reaching for sugary comfort foods, processed foods, whatever it is, it's going to help soothe you in the moment. And like, I've got that little moment of reprieve in the actual moment, but it actually does nothing. It makes things worse over the next couple of days, over the next couple of hours. It doesn't help anything long term. So we've got these increases in alcohol, these increases in comfort food, increases in processed food. They impact sleep more. They crush your energy. They inflame your intestines more. You're more bloated. You've got lower mood. They're actually heightening all of the cortisol symptoms. And some of the behaviors that we do in the moment to actually help relieve stress actually make things worse for ourselves. And because of that impact of sleep, we wake up next day and we reach for more caffeine, and it makes us sleep worse. And then that night you wake up and the next day you're reaching for more caffeine. You're in that kind of vicious cycle. A lot of women and individuals in general will default to an all or nothing mindset. So because they don't have time to do everything, they just default to doing nothing, and then that creates a guilt mindset where they can start to think, I'm lazy, I'm not motivated, I can't do this. So then they're beating themselves up for that, and it creates more anxiety. And then the negative self comes in and creates more like, oh, I should be doing this. Why can't I do this? Try and cram stuff in, doesn't get finished. When in reality, we should be looking at the lifestyles that we're doing and our nutrition as something that ebbs and flows. Nothing looks good every single week. Nothing. I don't have the same time this week or last week as I did 2-3 weeks prior. 3 weeks prior, I was able to do 5 workouts in the gym. The gym is 45-minute drive away, so 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. So it takes me, let's say, 3 and a bit hours, me and Viola, when we train. This week I'm scheduled for 2. I've managed to get 2 other runs in. By the end of the week, it'll be 3 runs in total. So I still trained a lot, but my gym sessions have halved. That's not bad. It's a normal thing for me. It's a lifestyle. That's not me thinking, oh, last week I was really good. This week I'm really crap, because I can't do 5 workouts that I did last week. I did a couple of weeks prior. It's not realistic sometimes. So why would I hold myself to an unrealistic standard? Why would I do that? I just beat myself up. Potentially moving house this week or the week after, or very, very soon as we found one. We have social stuff on, working silly hours. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous for me to try and do 5 workouts. It's only going to create more stress, more anxiety. So I don't default to that sort of all or nothing mindset. I default to my life. It's different this week than what I do for my health is going to look different this week. I don't default to doing nothing because I have less time. I default to figuring out, what do I have to do with what I can do with the time that I have. And for me, that's probably 2 workouts, probably 3 runs. That's great. I'm just going to plan to do those 2 workouts and the 3 runs. And it's a bloody great week, right? It's a really great week, because there are some things that make things even worse during when it comes to cortisol. If you're stressed, what normally happens is, again, we're grabbing a lot of comfort food, we rush through time, it's harder to get high levels of protein in. So we do normally, in those stressy, busy times, we would see a decrease in protein. And that only, unfortunately, makes things worse, makes that stress and the high levels of cortisol that just spiked with a natural change in your life situation last for a few weeks, because that knock-on impact. When you have lower protein impact, lower intake of protein, it impacts gut digestion. It impacts digestive enzymes. It impacts things like energy, brain fog. These are all symptoms that occur at any age and for any sex, myself included. But for you, they're 10 times worse in menopause. They're heightened because they're heightened for more natural reasons, because you have a higher baseline level of cortisol. That's why you find it a bit quicker to get short fused. Right? It happens anytime. But these will become higher when we ignore the things when going through a specific life period. Low levels of nutrients obviously make things worse. So when we've got low levels of sort of vitamin E's, omega 3s, B12s, they're found naturally in our foods. They're going to inflame our intestines more if we don't have enough of it. They're going to cause high levels of anxiety. They're going to dysregulate your melatonin, so and your cortisol production. They're two hormones that are needed very importantly to help us sleep. So of course we're going to sometimes reach for the caffeine, and that again is going to cause more cortisol, more digestion issues. Um, how many times have you had like 4 or 5 cups of coffee and then needed to go to the bathroom straight away? Really struggled, like getting rumbly stomach, like, and during a period like this, I love sort of CrossFit high rock style training. I wouldn't do a session like that. I love it. I love that training. I love the class environment. I love that it creates a good boundaries. But I would not do that type of high intensity exercise because that is going to ramp that cortisol through the roof, and I'm just not going to be able to recover. You know, so set those healthy boundaries. Work wise, I know I've got specific calls I need to attend to help our ladies. I need to be there at certain times. I've got social interactions, social stuff going on. I've a lot of work. Obviously, a lot of the work that we do is remote, but lean into something that's not going to absolutely smash you. Stop doing a spin class when you're absolutely taxed out. I mean, it might feel good, but you're not going to recover quick from it. So go for a walk, go for a steady swim or something like that. Lean into what is the most important thing to manage through that week. I got weeks. I have weeks like this. Obviously, this is the first week in a while that's been very challenging. But I want to be able to recover, manage the cortisol levels well, because if they're too high, which I can't naturally always control because it's an intense period of work and this stuff, I don't want to do loads of things on top of it, like eating less protein, like um, eating poor quality nutrition, having more caffeine. I don't want to increase that, right? So the two workouts that I mentioned, anything else I'm going to be doing runs, and maybe the rest of it I might just do 10 minutes of breath work or stretching or yoga throughout the day. Doesn't matter as long as I can get up out of this chair, go for a little 10-minute walk or whatever, get some fresh air around the block. That's what I'm going to be looking to do. So the things that I've done this week, I've prioritized nutrition. Every single week, this is something that we train and educate our clients to do. Is plan the week ahead for put in a 10-minute or a 30-minute block on your calendar every week where you sit down. What is my life going to be like this week? What is my work going to be like this week? What's my stress levels going to be like? What do I need to do so I don't just go into the week blindfolded and reactive? And hope, when you do that, you hope that the answer just falls out of the sky, hits you in the head, because you haven't planned for it. So like when things are going to pull you from pillar to post. You're going to be needed in the city to send something off. You can't be bothered to cook like me this week. A lot of stuff going on. It could be social occasions. So I sort of just mapped out my week to make sure that what it would look like, what kind of things I need to have done to help future me on that as the week goes on. And it sort of then begs a few questions, pre-planning, because it's sometimes, I've heard, oh, this is obsessed, it's too hard work, or it's time consuming. So we kind of like sometimes think looking back at our nutrition or planning ahead or putting in 10 minutes or 30 minutes to ourselves or a constant block every Sunday morning to plan out with your partner or yourself is, sometimes a lot of these negative thoughts like, oh, this is time consuming, or that's obsessive, or that's not realistic, whatever it may be. But I want you to think of it as a different way. Is it actually a great act of self-love? Is what I'm doing really an act of self-love? Am I showing myself by doing that, looking after, planning myself, that I actually matter in my own life? So like when you hear me say, like, I took 30 minutes at the weekend to sit down, plan my weekend, look what I was doing, figure out things, maybe plan a couple of meals, whatever it was, would you say I'm obsessed? Would you say, oh, that sounds like really hard work? Or would you say, gosh, that's so time consuming, right? You probably say, Dean obviously really prioritizes himself. Dean obviously matters in his own life. He is the priority. He prioritizes himself in his own life. flip that mindset. That's a game changer for me. A game changer for me. When we get them, so, this is a game changer for our clients as well. When we get into that mindset where we can start to look at planning for their life, planning for their health, planning for their nutrition, just for that week ahead is not something that it's like a to-do list or something. Oh, well, I have to sit down and do this or do that. It's hard work. Or it's like preparation or whatever it is, to actually look as if it's an act of self-love. It's a meeting with yourself that you do not ever want to miss. And that is how you prioritize yourself. It's an act of saying, okay, I'm going to help my future self. Like, I know that like this can be stressful or life can go, awry this week, or something is going to happen that's going to, I'm going to make myself matter in this period. I'm going to prioritize that. We flip that mindset, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Sit down on a Sunday, look at your calendar for the week ahead, look at the meal plan. Whatever you can do to help yourself that week is the biggest game changer when it comes to consistency and beating that all or nothing mindset. Because if I didn't do that, what would happen? Recognize that. Recognize that in yourself. I would have had a stupendously stressful week. What I'm going to do? Walked into the kitchen and gone, oh, I'm fucking stressed. I'm anxious. I'm natural big spike of cortisol. I haven't prepped. I'm going into the week reactive. I wouldn't be doing all that. I'd be doing all these negative behaviors. I'd be reaching for comfort food, grab processed foods because I can't be bothered to cook. I'm not having loads of protein because I haven't planned anything ahead. I'm not relying on caffeine because I'm relying on caffeine. Sorry, because I'm sleeping. I'm not sleeping well. My nutrition choices are not particularly good, right? And because I had made all of those things, those decisions, when it came to my nutrition choices for like 7 days, they were planned out. Because if I didn't, it'd have a knock-on effect for weeks after my gut, my energy, my brain fog, my sleep, my so on. All of the choices that I make during that stressful week doesn't just help me how I feel this week. It helps how I feel next week, the week after. Whereas I wanted to feel calmer. I wanted to get through this week as much as possible. That is the thing for me. I want to be able to handle all priorities. I want to be able to handle the team, the MYM team. I want to handle family members with passion, with love, good quality time. Handle my friends that, I'm potentially going to see in the UK. Handle members of the public, just generally when you go into the shop. Handle clients. These are the more calm mindset I have, the better I feel. That's a person I want to be. I don't want to be someone stressing out, flipping, agitated, irritable, and all these kind of things, because it's just like, this is stressful. I want to turn up as a nice, soft, calm version of myself. I want to be in a good headspace, actually enjoy social events, the move. I don't want to be exhausted when I'm going out for dinner to see friends. I don't want to be so stressed that people are going, fucking hell, you're all right. I want to be able to be relaxed and go, what a beautiful time. I want to enjoy the presence. I want to enjoy connecting with loved ones. I want to enjoy the transition into a new home, a new chapter for us. I want to enjoy that. I want to move in. I want to be able to unpack. I want to be able to unpack, present in thinking that, oh God, this is amazing. I don't want to be like, this is awful, figuring things out. I want to feel ready. I want to feel in control. And, I have to make active choices to help regulate that cortisol, right? So, I think we often, like I say, we often look at planning ahead as work, as something that is a to-do list, but I think we often look at nutrition as something that we do when we have time. And I think that's the problem. People see this as dieting, right? This is dieting. So if you're doing any of this, you only look after yourself when you have time. You only eat when you have time, or you're saying to yourself, I'll look after that, or I'll do that when I have more time. You're dieting. That's a diet. That's a rule set. You're going to be in that all or nothing mindset. You're going to be doing that perpetually for the rest of your life. You're going to be yo-yoing like that for years. I'm not dieting right now. I am trying to lose weight, but I'm not dieting right now. I'm just trying to navigate this particular week. I'm focusing on living. I don't want to go through weeks, months of my life feeling like this. Having that constant stress ball, constantly being, having high anxiety, constantly feeling overstimulated, exhausted, having knock-on effects for weeks because of my nutritional choice and because I didn't make myself a priority in my own life or make my nutrition a priority. And when I say priority, it doesn't need to be number one. It just needs to be on the priority list. Like my nutrition week is not my number one priority. but it's still on my priority list. My number one priority, my number two, my number three things is like work. It's like things like getting this house sorted. It's things like family, Viola, the dogs, my friends. I need to figure out the things at the back of that line as well. They're my top priorities. But my nutrition and myself are still on my priority list because it's my life. Imagine how sad it is when you really sit back and think you're not even on your priority list. I'm not even talking here about being your number one priority. I'm just talking, are you even on your priority list? And if you're not, why not? You just have that one life. Why are you not even on the list? And why are you so easy and so quick to take yourself off of the list? So like when life gets busy and when life gets in the way, it's a default to you. You know, these are reflective questions. They're not judgmental questions. I promise you. I'm speaking to hundreds of women a day inside of our support group, and this is what I'm hearing. Right? I'm not worthy. I'm not on the list. I put myself last. Right? Ask yourself, why is it so easy for me to just be put to the back of the rung? Not even on the priority list. Why is it so easy for you to just take yourself off your own priority list in life? That was something that I've done previously. My clients did this themselves before we helped them. This kind of deeper work for years. It's like just as life, got busy, they defaulted to being like, I'm not a priority, all this other stuff, you know, all these other excuses. And it's like when you sit back and think, oh my gosh, what would I say to another woman who's not even putting herself on her own priority list? Ask yourself that question. Like we're not talking about being number one priority. I think that's often unrealistic because you're so giving as women. I'm talking about just being on the list. I prioritize my own life, and that starts with how I feel, which starts with what I put in my body. So, as I said, you know, because I'm going through this life, this stress this week, I kind of thought these are great, like mindset, deeper, reflective questions that we would do more so on the coaching side to help you. And I know it's slightly different content here that I'm putting out that I would put inside of our menopause support group, but that normally we use to help you. But hopefully this can help you that kind of all or nothing mindset, or looking at, if you're looking at creating an approach, are you looking at creating a lifestyle? Are you somebody who is all or nothing mindset person? Are you somebody who prioritizes yourself in whatever way possible each week? Or are you somebody that looks at consistency, thinking, I need to do the to-do list to be absolutely perfect of my ability every single day, which is so unrealistic, you know? Or are you truly embodying what consistency actually means, which is committing to always showing up in whatever way possible that day? Now, if this is something that you feel is relatable and you are sitting there thinking, yes, sounds like me. This is something that I need to beat. This is something I don't want to keep doing. I don't want to keep, taking myself off of my priority list. I don't want to keep yo-yoing through. I want to feel good. I'm not feeling good because of time and stress, and I'm not prioritizing myself. Then I'm happy to share some sort of smaller tips that I'm doing this week. Some of the changes that I'm going to make to some of my caffeine intake, some of the changes I'm making, my nutritional changes, just some minor tweaks to help regulate my cortisol, help regulate and keep my body feeling more calmer and less anxiety riddled. Some of the smaller tweaks this week I might be using around foods that'll help with melatonin and cortisol to help with my sleep. Yeah, I'm happy to write all that up if that's something that if it's something that you want and something I can definitely share with you. I'll keep a document. But when I share this video, I think it's going to hit home. If you're, this is different, as I say, it's different to what we normally talk about. But if you've got, because we talk about, tinnitus or, visceral fat and stuff like that. But sometimes this is actually what more people need to hear. So let me know if this little bit of coaching style is helpful. Can definitely put something together, more of these training sessions over the coming months. And obviously, if you're like, this is me, can you just help me through it, walk me through it one to one? Then I'll leave a link at the bottom to book a quick call to see if we can help, or just send me a direct message and just say, hey, I'm struggling. Do you think you can help before you even jump on the call? Appreciate your time, and speak to you soon.